Hi there, my lovely friends. There are so many parts to being a full time author. And so today I thought we'd have a bit of a chat about that. As a full time author, I know I'm trying to juggle market trends, which we've talked about, reader expectations, which we've also talked about before, that dream of making a full time income. Well, I do that already, but I have to maintain it, and that pressure to be prolific or not. And it can all be very quickly start to feel like that whole thing. You remember those things you used to have in the old days, where people would spin plates in the circuses and things like that, and you've got to keep them all going. So today I thought we would just sit quietly and calmly and have a bit of a talk about what goes on behind the scenes. One of the crucial things that I mentioned in a previous video is that when you move from writing as a hobby into writing as a business, your awareness shifts. You're no longer just asking, do I like the story? You're also asking, will readers like my story? Will it sell? How do I keep my income steady? How often do I need to publish? And layered on top of that is all the social media telling you to post more, trend more, pivot faster, and somehow keep up with everything at once. It is no wonder that authors feel like they're being pulled in 10 different directions. It's part of being an independent author. So let's start with the money side of things, because I think that's where a lot of the anxiety sits, at least in my experience. There is this idea floating around, especially among people who haven't actually done it before, that once you publish a book, it's just going to keep selling forever. That you can release something and it will tick along in the background, generating income month after month after month. Sometimes that happens, but more often than not, especially if you're selling ebooks on Amazon, your sales follow a particular pattern. And, those of you who've self-published before, you've probably seen it. When you release a new book and you already have an established audience, those first month sales are going to be strong. You put it out in your newsletter, you tell your people on Patreon, you plaster it all over social media, and the people who already enjoy your stories will inevitably buy your book. When that happens in that short space of time, the Amazon algorithm notices that burst of energy. And so it might give you a bit of extra visibility because your book is ranking well in its genre. And that can mean things like appearing on the top 100 for your genre page, or appearing as a top new release, or, just being featured more often in places like customers almost also bought. Because if your readers are prolific readers of other people in your genre, then your book's going to show up, which is really cool. But the Amazon's ranking system is heavily dependent on recent sales. Like, it can change from hour to hour. If your sales slow down in month 2, which they inevitably do because the audience you already have has probably bought your books already, or they're not going to, that means your book ranking drops. And as your ranking drops, your visibility drops. And as your visibility drops, well, you can see what's going to happen. Fewer casual readers are going to stumble across your book. By month 3, unless you are actively promoting or driving traffic, many books barely sell anything at all. Now, I should add a little bit of a caveat here, because I write so often and publish so often, and a lot of my books are interconnected in series and shared worlds. Those new books do help boost the sales of backlists. And sometimes it's your backlist sales that can actually really help keep your income more I was going to say more predictable, but that's a joke. A little less chaotic. But you see, the thing is this happens, and it's got nothing to do with the content of the book. It's no way saying that the book is bad. It is because of how that particular platform works. The Amazon algorithm rewards momentum. It rewards consistent sales activity. Of course it does. It wants to make money as a company. So it really doesn't care how much love you've poured into your book. It cares about the numbers. And this is where prolific publishing enters the conversation. If you want to make a regular, steady income from indie publishing, not just a one-time spike, but something sustainable, you need ongoing momentum. And the one way to create that momentum is by releasing books consistently. Now, again, I want to be very clear here. I am not saying that everyone needs to put a book out a month. I've been full-time in this business for 12 years. And yes, I do release roughly one book a month. That means writing virtually every day. It's a rhythm I've built over time. And it's something that my readers have come to expect, because over those years, I suppose, I've become experienced in the way of my genre. But that pace is not the only model. What matters more is that it's not your speed, it's your consistency. If you are someone that publishes one book every 6 months, but you do it reliably and your readers learn to respect it, they will anticipate it. If you publish once a year, but you're communicating throughout the year about your writing progress and everything else, so you're staying visible, that can work as well. The key is that you can't just disappear for 3 years and then come back wondering why your income has suddenly disappeared and your readers have all gone somewhere else. Because the truth is, when building a writing career, that readers will forget quickly. I do have established readers who have read everything I've written and have been with me since day one. That is 12 years and over 100 books. And for each one of those people, I am insanely grateful, definitely grateful. But the fact of the matter is that is not all of my audience. That is a very special, very core, and very valued part of my audience. But for the casual reader, social media moves at lightning speed. You can post something thoughtful and most people won't even see it. Attention spans are shorter. There's more content competing for the same eyeballs. And this is the same for books. There are thousands of new releases every single day. So if you're not consistently showing up, either with new books or with meaningful engagement, you're not going to stay in somebody's, in the back of a reader's mind when they go looking for their next read. That's just the business reality. But this is where I think the most important mindset shift comes in. And this is what I mean when I say to stay in your lane. It is so easy to look at what other authors are doing and feel pressure to copy it. If someone's writing 6 figures, making 6 figures, writing in a genre you don't even enjoy, the temptation is to pivot. If somebody is posting constantly on TikTok and going viral, the temptation is to replicate that energy. Not me, but still some people. If someone says the only way to survive is to publish every 6 weeks, panic can set in. Incidentally, with my TikToks, if you ever see me over there, I'm usually posting weather reports or various things going on in my house. I think the last, apart from my buy my books, I posted 3 videos last week. One concerned my robot vacuum cleaner. I've called him Gerald. One concerned the number of pieces there are in a stationary bike, because I needed my son to come and put it together for me. And one, when I knew I needed a third thing and I couldn't think of anything, I went and stood out on my porch and said, look at lovely Mother Nature, isn't she pretty? My TikTok presence is useless, but if you try and replicate somebody else's, if I tried to replicate what everybody else was doing with their fancy book flips and their thingamybobbies and they're talking about their character, I can't do it. I can't do it. Frankly, I'm too old for that, so I don't even try. And this is the thing. I can say that because I already know that copying someone else's lane does not work long term. You have to build a business that fits for you. If you hate writing a certain trope, no amount of market potential is going to make that sustainable for you in the long term. If you despise social media, forcing yourself to live on it 8 hours a day is going to burn you out. I have a little tip there. Use a scheduling software. It's incredible. If you cannot realistically produce a book every month because of health, family, life commitments, setting that as your benchmark is only going to create stress. And a sustainable writing career is not built on frantic reaction. It is built on being steady in your lane. I'll say it again. Write the books you genuinely love in a genre that feels natural to you and that you understand, and for readers who appreciate that special voice of yours that you bring to the table, and then build your systems around it. Yes, you need to understand the Amazon algorithm. Yes, you need to understand that sales momentum matters. And yes, you do need to understand that consistency is important if you want consistent income. But don't let the mechanics of it override the joy. Prolific doesn't just mean fast. It means practice. It takes practice. When you write regularly, whether it's every day or every 5 days or 5 days a week, or even 3 focus sessions in a month, every time you do it, you will get better. Your process becomes smoother. Your editing becomes cleaner. Your plotting starts to become more instinctive, especially if you are writing a book you want to read. Over time, that naturally increases your output. But that growth is happening because you're writing stories that you genuinely care about, not because you're chasing whatever might spike this month. So let's take a moment for a talk honestly about income. Making a full-time income as an indie author is possible. I know because I've done it for 12 years, but it didn't happen overnight. It did require me releasing books consistently. I did have so much to learn about covers and blurbs and pricing and everything else. And it's really weird because I still get people today, my editors in particular, telling me my blurbs are always too long. Apparently the trend now is to have them short. Who knew? It also means, having this as my only source of income, it meant that I had to accept that some months my income was going to be and others would be quite woohoo. It also requires resilience because there will be months when a book underperforms. There will be releases that don't take off the way you hoped. Oh, don't even ask me about my December. And actually it was it was my December and January pre-order figures. They were appalling. And there are times when the algorithm feels really mysterious and frustrating. But you need to look at this as a strategy built over the long term. One of the neat things, I will make a little aside here, but one of the neat things about Amazon income in particular is that because you are paid 60 days in arrears, it means that, like, say, for example, when I find out what my sales figure are for this month, I know that that money that I'm going to be paid won't be paid for another 2 months. So I can budget for that. I can think, if I think, this is a quiet month, I've got 2 months to make it up. I've still got 2 more payments to make that up. Stash a bit aside, things like that. But those are things you learn over times. The thing is that if you do have a strategy built around long-term growth, which means building a backlist, nurturing your readers, because my goodness, they are so incredible, improving your craft and releasing consistently. If you have one slow month, it's not going to destroy your life. It's just part of the rhythm. For example, I noticed that because I live in New Zealand, of course, my seasons are different to a lot of my American readers, for example. But I noticed during the American summers, my sales always drop. June, July, and August. It's because everybody's on holiday. It took me about 4 years to work that out. But when I saw it happening every year, I was like, oh, yeah, they're all on holiday. They're going away for the summer and things like that. And then I'm thinking, don't they take their Kindles with them or whatever? You know what I mean? But anyway, you do see a rhythm over time, and you do learn to just go with the ebbs and flows. And this is something I just want for newer writers in particular to understand. You don't need to do everything at once. You don't need to master every platform. You don't need to chase every trend. Please don't chase every trend. You don't need to publish at someone else's speed. What you do need to do is decide what kind of writing life you want. And then you build that the way you want to. If your goal is a full-time income, like mine, then you need to accept that it might take a little while. You need volume over time. You don't need a frantic volume. You don't need to be putting a book out a month, but you do need to be steadily building up your backlist. More books means more entry points for your readers and more chances for the Amazon's algorithm to notice you. More books means more opportunities for someone to fall in love with your work and go hunting for your backlist. And that is the most incredible thing that can happen, but it does. I still sell copies of my first ever book, put out 12 years ago. It was put out in, is it 12? Yeah, it is. Because it was put out in February 2014. And yeah, it still makes sales today. Usually because somebody has read something else and then gone back and looked at what I've got. But that happens. And the more backlist and the more books you've got to offer them, particularly if they're all within the same genre and all along similar lines, your readers are going to lap that up and they're going to want to read. They're going to want to read what you've written. So think about that as you're setting up your own system. But most of all, take a breath. Honestly, stay in your lane. Write the stories that you love. Publish consistently in a way that fits with you. Learn the business side of this business gradually instead of being obsessed about every little thing. And just, understand that building a sustainable author career is much more like planting a garden than winning a lottery. Although we can always hope. You don't throw your seeds down one day and harvest the next. You plant, you water, you tend, you show up regularly, and over time your things grow. And this is what will happen with your writing business too. It's not algorithm hacking. It's not trend chasing. It is just doing what you love so that one day in 12 years' time, you can sit back and think, yeah, I'm still doing the work that you genuinely enjoy, because that's how I feel. And in the end, that matters far more than one quick spike. So what do you think, my friends? Do you think that you need to work harder and faster? Do you think all hope is lost? I'm not sure, because I wasn't really sure how I was just trying to explain the different things of the different things we have to juggle and the different changes that I've seen just in 12 years, particularly on social media. You know, it used to be that Facebook was the thing. And before that, it was blogs were the thing. And then, you know, now I've got a blog that barely anybody reads. And I've got a Facebook, which, you know, a lot of people don't want to be on the bigger platforms anymore. And then, you know, so then you have newsletters and you have all these different things. And every single thing that I learned and tried as an author, I did have to learn it for myself. As I say, I made that comment earlier in this video about scheduling. Like, I thought I had to go on every platform every day and do all the things. Yeah, no. I can sit there on a Friday and schedule a whole week's worth of content, so I don't have to be on every day. And yeah, and now I've moved like more to Patreon. So what, obviously that core group of readers that were originally following me on Facebook, but who aren't as keen on that platform anymore, were more than happy to come over to Patreon, even as a free member. And at least then, if they're a free member, they at least get one weekly update from me where I explain what book's coming out next, what books I'm working on. I ask them questions. I tell them what's going on with my life and all those things. So it kind of, Patreon for me was a way to condense it all into the one place, which I really love. And I am hoping over time that I won't have to be quite so much on the other platforms. But you know, my PA tells me that Instagram's the thing. Well, do I look like an Instagram person to you? I am as much an Instagram person as I am a TikTok person, and that is not at all. So, but learning all these different things and accepting all the different changes and modifying them. Like, I don't just grab hold of every new thing I learn and then hang on to it. I look and see if it will fit into the way I live my life and how I built my business. And it will either work for me or it won't. It's as simple as that. And if it doesn't, I don't care how many times I keep getting emails from people saying, oh, we've noticed you've got an Instagram. Did you know if you buy this, this, and this, you can do this, this, and this? And they do it with TikTok and they do it. Honestly, the spam emails, see, again, that was something we never had to worry about 10 years ago. And God, now I'm really showing my age, aren't we? Back in my day, yeah, well, back in my day, things were a lot easier. But as an author, I had to learn to adapt. I had to learn to change. And while I refuse to do a TikTok freaking dance thingy anytime soon, I will, if you go on my TikTok, you'll be able to see. I show pictures of the view outside on my porch because it's really pretty. I think I actually even started up the hashtag weather in Wellsford or something it was called. I'm not sure. But this is the thing. It's pulling in the bits that work for you, discarding the rest. Don't follow somebody else's regime. Don't follow somebody else's their system or anything else. Pick bits, be selective, pick what works for you. And yeah, I think that's about all I've got to say on that topic. Sorry, I've waffled on a bit now, haven't I? But anyway, I do post long form contents on Mondays and Thursdays. If you have any questions, please put them below because I answer every comment and I truly appreciate it because it helps with the algorithm. If you'd like to hit the like and subscribe button, you're more than welcome to. I'd love to know where you are on your writing journey and what sort of tips and tricks perhaps have you learned from other authors that you've perhaps decided, yeah, no, that's not for me. I'd rather do this, 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 and this. I'd love to hear. I really would. If you've got ideas for videos too, or you've got any questions as well, again, drop them in the comments below, because they're always welcome. I do read everyone and I respond to everyone. So yeah, thank you for that. And in the meantime, yeah, just keep writing, my friends. Stay in your lane, keep having fun with it. And I can't see. I really have to seriously work better on my outro, don't I? But never to mind. Until next time, my friends, we will see you then. And please keep writing, my friend, because I believe in you. Bye.